Hello, I'm Tyler Clark, founder and co-creative director of Lucid Studios, and this is Real Reflections, a show where we talk mostly film, but I like to sprinkle in a little prestige TV, and who knows, maybe even the occasional book in the future. So thanks for joining me once again, and if it's your first time, welcome in. First thing is, just want to say happy Easter, past Easter. Hope everyone had a good Easter weekend. I missed a week due to illness. Like, tried to get in the booth to do recording and just sounded like ass, like 100% ass. So rather than subject anyone to that, just decided to take a week off and just keep putting some clips up, keep working on some other things for the channel, and keep going down my watch list, man. Got to keep feeding the beast. So, and also wanted to say thank you very much. We shot up to over 2,000 subscribers now. I think the last check was like 2,300 or something like that. So, want to say thank you for all the love, and just welcome all the new subscribers. I think down the road, I'm gonna try and add a Discord once I have a little bit more time. So that other film lovers, TV lovers have a place to kind of go and chat about some of the stuff that we watch here and cover here on the channel, and also a place for you guys to send me suggestions, So this week, there was one more little housekeeping thing I wanted to touch on, which was we lost Gossett Jr. Like at the end of, it's like right before Easter, who was, is one of those faces. People may not always know his name when they see him, but he was kind of at least for me, I don't know if it was just like the stuff that I watched growing up, but just kind of a fixture. Like, you just see him pop up, like in unexpected places. I know An Officer and a Gentleman, which I put some clips up, or at least one clip up from here, was probably his most major role that he was known for. Where he played the drill instructor at the naval pilot training for Richard Gere. And then I know he was in The Color Purple. Yeah, just looking back at his IMDb, he's got over 200 credits, dating way, way back. So he's just a fixture, in Hollywood. And even most recently, like he acted all the way up until the end. He was in the Watchmen series a couple years back, and I feel like I just saw him in, what was it? I was trying to scroll back here on my little list here. Yeah, The Color Purple. Yeah, he was in the musical, the remake of The Color Purple, and he was in the original. Or wait, was he? Yeah, I feel like he was in the original. It's been so long since I saw it. I know Danny Glover was in it. I want to say Gossett Jr. was in the original also. And one of my favorites, it's a really, probably not a good movie, but Iron Eagle, for those who know about it, you know about it. So yeah, just R.I.P. Lou Gossett, and, he'll definitely be missed. And so, there's not really a good way to pivot off of that, but decided to do things a little bit different this week, and maybe going forward, because this might be just a little bit more efficient. Since I missed a week, and I was basically going down. I mean, you know what the idea was just to kind of go down what I've been watching, talk about the good stuff, make little recommendations, but having that week off, there's no way I'd be able to cover like the stuff that I've watched since then. And so I decided to do watch list winners, baby. Like, maybe that's what I'll do kind of going forward, is just the top 5 from my IMDb watch list of, whatever I've watched since the last episode. So essentially just the best of the best, or at least in my humble opinion, at least the best of what I've gotten to watch that week. Um, so I think I'm going to give that a shot this time. And so I'm going to go from, I guess, number 5 to 1. So we'll start with, so at my number 5 is Beau is Afraid, which came out in, I want to say mid to late 2023, but it's basically, there's no easy way to describe it. When I was telling someone about it, I described it as a nightmare comedy. So written, directed, and I think co-produced by Ari Aster, who also did, if you're a fan of Hereditary, or his other one, Midsommar. Thank you. Could not. I was totally drawing a blank. I love Midsommar. This is his 3rd feature, and it basically follows, stars Joaquin Phoenix, Patty Lupone, and Amy Ryan. Gotta be honest, I have never seen those actors before. If I had, I didn't really recognize them. But essentially, it follows Joaquin Phoenix plays kind of they don't really get into much about what he does on a day in, day out basis. So I can't really tell you much about the character, except that he regularly sees a psychiatrist. He's on medication for anxiety, and it's pretty clear from the very beginning, in his first meeting that we see with the psychiatrist, that he has mother issues. And so not long after we meet Beau in the beginning, he learns of his mother's passing, right? And so I would almost, in a way, compare it to Heart of Dark, like a Heart of Darkness type story, like an Apocalypse Now, because it's essentially a 3-hour, and I know that sounds crazy that it's a 3-hour movie, but it really kind of flies by, once you just kind of sink into it. But essentially it follows Beau on a journey home, trying to get back home to where his mother is going to be buried. What makes Beau is Afraid a nightmare comedy is essentially, I would say from the first 10 minutes or so, when he leaves his psychiatrist's office and he's taking some medication, we see his anxiety ramp, and I've experienced anxiety myself, never quite this hard, but just the idea of him getting from his apartment to the convenience store across the street to buy water is insanity. There's riots in the streets, and it gets to a point where you're not sure what is surreal and what's real. And I think what was so brilliant to me about Beau is Afraid is, it makes me think of this analogy I heard, and I'm not sure where I heard it, but something about cooking a frog, where if you put a frog in lukewarm water or something, and then you gradually turn the water up, it will stay there until it just cooks and dies. But if you throw it in boiling water, it hops out, right? And that's kind of what I would describe this movie as, or at least the ride it takes you on, is it starts out a little crazy, but you're kind of laughing, and in an uncomfortable way. I was uncomfortable. I was should I be laughing at this? Is this funny? And then you realize, yeah, it's supposed to be funny. It's it's insane. But it just gradually, it just ratchets and ratchets and ratchets, to where you don't even realize the journey that you've been on. by the end of it. And the performance from Joaquin Phoenix is, I'm probably going to put him in my, still working on my alternative Oscars. I don't know if that may just have to be a next year thing. But anyway, so yeah, Beau's Afraid is available. It's streaming on Paramount Plus, and it's available to rent or buy on Prime Video if you don't have Paramount Plus. But yeah, I probably didn't really do it justice, to be honest. It's so yeah, Beau's Afraid. All right, at my number 4, I finally got around to Mission Impossible hyphen, or actually I should say it, I kind of want to say it with all the punctuation. Mission Impossible hyphen Dead Reckoning Part 1. And, I've seen all of them now. And I had been a huge fan up until, I think I mentioned this before, but until Fallout, when I really tried to make sense of a plot, which I've always respected the action scenes. I love Tom Cruise. I wish he would do more movies where he really acted, but I broke down and decided to check it out. And I was pleasantly surprised. I think if you just give yourself over, again, kind of like Beau is Afraid, right? To what it is, which shouldn't be hard, right? But I was just thinking of it as okay, well, it's just stunts. It's just stunts. It's just stunts. I don't really care about just seeing stunts, with no story attached. But I think they did a good enough job. Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, and then some of the newer additions were back. Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, and then the newest addition was Haley Atwell, who a lot of us know from the MCU as Captain Carter. And she was a great addition. Again, directed by Christopher McQuarrie. And just like all the others, it's just fun, man. Don't try to make sense of the plot, because I don't think that it's really possible, but just go on a ride. There was a moment where it's a scene with Haley Atwell and our Tom Cruise. I should look up for her what her character's name was. I don't even remember, but it just reminded me what a movie star Tom Cruise is. It's the scene where they're trying to get this. It's like a little Fiat, and it's an IMF. So it has all the gadgets, like the Bond gadgets and everything. And it was one of the few moments where Tom Cruise kind of I think laughs at himself, or makes himself not look perfect for once. And I was just reminded of I don't know, just what charisma really is. You don't mind sitting with him. You'll hang out with Tom Cruise for 2.5 hours and not even blink. And I thought Haley Atwell was awesome. I don't think they'll ever give this franchise over to anyone. I think it would be really interesting to see Tom Cruise take the more handler type role. They made it seem like Haley Atwell might be back and might have a deeper role in the IMF or whatever institution that is that they work for. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think it'll ever happen, but she did a really great job in it. And again, if you have Paramount, it's available there. And my number 3 pick this week was gonna sound a little random, but I'm still doing working on a Sofia Coppola power ranking. So I watched The Beguiled, which is based on a novel of the same name, which follows, they're not really a family, but it's this group of young women who live with, I guess, a matriarch type figure during the Civil War. So it's starring Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst, Elle Fanning, Colin Farrell, and basically Nicole Kidman is this Southern woman. She has a plantation style home in the South during the Civil War, and they're not necessarily, or I guess they are kind of orphan girls that she's kind of raising in her home, and one of them finds a wounded Union soldier played by Colin Farrell. So they bring him in, kind of tend to him, nurse him back to health, and I was expecting like a love story, but it really turned into more of a psychological thriller, which I was pleasantly surprised by. Like, mentioned before, I love Sofia Coppola's movies and her style, and this one's no different, right? Like you see, like it's shot beautifully, even though like it's a period piece, so all that aspects, the production design is great, but also just Coppola's her style, her the way she frames things, the coloring, all that stuff. The framing is just, it's beautiful to look at, and then you put this kind of unexpected thriller underneath, because won't get into spoilers or anything, but the girls and the women who are living in this home all have their own distinct personalities and motivations, and a lot of different things come to the surface when there's a man introduced into the environment. So it's, like I said, very unexpected, and actually available on Netflix, so it's really accessible for a lot of people. I would highly recommend it. Like, again, it's my number 3 for the week. So, The Beguiled. All right, at number 2, it was Joyride, which was another 2023 film. This one is streaming on Stars right now. Stars Ashley Park, Sherry Cola, and Stephanie Sue, I hope I said her name right, who people will remember from Everything Everywhere All at Once. She played Jobu Tabaki. So Joyride, I'm trying to remember like what the actual premise is. I believe like Ashley Park plays the main character, Audrey, has a job. She's a lawyer. That's right. She's a lawyer, and she needs to. There's this type of project that she has to go to China for, but she doesn't. She's Chinese American. She was adopted by a white couple, and so she doesn't speak Chinese, and needs her friend to go along with her on this business trip to China to translate. And that's really pretty much the setup. There's the friend played by Sherry. Let's see, what's her name? Lolo. So her friend Lolo brings another friend named Deadeye, and then they have one other friend that's already there in China. So it ends up being the 4 of them. Okay, so the 4 of them are on this business trip in China, and the main character, as part of proving her authenticity, needs to find her birth mother, who's from China. So the 4 of them set off to find their birth mother and kind of discover, what it means to be Chinese, what it means to be friends. So I laughed so hard during this movie. Like, probably, I was trying to remember like another comedy that I had watched recently that made me laugh this hard. There were just some moments in it I was literally just rolling, and I thought it had heart, at the same time, like a little bit of message, and it was something that I related to. Streaming on Stars, hilarious, raunchy as hell. And number one, my watch list winner for this week is Body Problem. And this is a show, every once in a while, I'm kind of a sci-fi nerd. Like, I'm just going to admit that. But not all sci-fi, right? I'm not just a sucker for it. But sometimes, like, a story, just for whatever reason, has happened with Foundation, just grabs me for whatever reason. Like, I don't know if it's the concept or it's probably a combination of concept, execution. So this is based on a Chinese a series, I think what do you call it? A trilogy from a Chinese author, which I had not read, but the show got me so interested. I recently just started. I skipped book one because the show covers all of it, and jumped right into book two. So I just started book two recently. But essentially, the series starts off in China. So you get to see there's like a communist cultural revolution and how it impacts this one young physicist. So we see it from her perspective, and I'm not going to really go far into the series. I plan on doing like a deeper dive, like solo videos on just the show, because I'm just enjoying it so much. But you follow two timelines kind of in the beginning. The I guess 1960s communist China timeline, and the present, where Benedict Wong, who people remember from Doctor Strange and the MCU, is an investigator who is looking into the deaths of physicists and who are killing themselves, basically. And like, we learn quickly that traditional science, like measuring instruments, like, aren't working the way they're supposed to. Essentially, they're saying that science is broken. Like one of the early scenes is of one of the characters saw at a particle accelerator that he's been working at, but they are having to shut it down because all of the results that they're getting are trash, essentially. And so, as the first episode goes on, we keep going back and forth between the Chinese Cultural Revolution and modern times. And there's a character named, I'm going to hope I say her name right, Yi Wenji is the main one that's followed kind of in the first episode. And we see like some choices that she makes in the past and that impact on science in the future. Really kind of tiptoeing around stuff because I don't want to spoil too much, but just to kind of give you the pedigree of the show, it is has been adapted from that book series by the same guys who brought Game of Thrones to HBO, or adapted Game of Thrones. And so that they bring that same level, I think, of just enveloping us in the world, and the job that they did on casting is tremendous. There's a couple of familiar faces from Game of Thrones, Sir Davos the Onion Knight, Liam Cunningham, Samuel Tarly, John Bradley. So they got a nice budget from Netflix. The casting is fantastic. And I just blew through it. I mean, it's been pretty rare lately for a show to really like grab me like that. Body Problem. So yeah, a little bit off the game this week. Trying to get back in the saddle, so apologize if I was a little bit all over the place. But just to recap real quick, the watch list winners, my top 5 for this week are: number 5, Beau is Afraid; number 4, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1; Number 3, The Beguiled. Number 2, Joyride. And number 1, the new Netflix series, Body Probem. So thanks again for joining me this week. It's a little shorter episode, but I will be back next week and with another top 5 and who knows what else. So until then, I will see you next time.